participants, or you may write on the chat box. I will take questions from there also.
I think there is no question.
There is no questions.
Question. Okay. Okay. A question pops up. Asim.
Okay,
A
sir.
question is there.
Good afternoon to all of you for being here. Myself, Osim Kumar Betal, faculty member, and now I would like to announce our second speaker, Dr. Onkur Konar. Now we are all eagerly waiting to hear our second speaker, Dr. Onkur Konar, Assistant Professor, Sir Rasbihari Ghosh Mahavidyalaya. Dr. Konar has authored a drama Dattanian Discourse 2013, Kolkata and Narrative Geographics 2019, Poetry and Interdisciplinarity 2020. Now Dr. Konar is going to deliver his lectures, and his topic is Sports History and Name Game, Kolkata and Soccer. Dr. Konar, please start your lecture. Am I audible to Dr. Konar?
Is Onkur there? Onkur was there. Let me check. Onkur is there.
Dr. Onkur Konar, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I'm trying to contact him. Actually, today the network is very weak. I also accidentally got disconnected just now. While Onkur comes back, may take up a question. There is a question in the chat box. Hello.
Yes, sir.
তোকে announce করা হচ্ছে তুই আয়
Dr. Banerjee, what happens with people who go to different land? The Anglo-Indians, are they compelled to live in ghettos as is with the black Americans in Harlem? This question is to Dr. Samosridi. If you want to see the questions, please go to chat box and read there from also. Samosridi.
Not audible.
Hello. Yeah, I have a question. Thank you for the question.
Yes, ma'am.
See, the Anglo-Indians are a minority community in India, where there are around, say, suppose more than 2 lakhs of Anglo-Indians. It is very difficult to identify them, and when they emigrate, again they become very invisible. Invisibility is one problem of the Anglo-Indian community. This is again something that intensifies their crisis. They cannot be compared with the members of the other diasporic communities, such as the colored people in Africa or in London, right? They cannot be compared with them because they are a minuscule community. So there is no question of forming ghetto. And your question is quite valid, because when I was going through Jimmy Pike's novel, The Tea Planter's Son, in that novel, astonishingly, Jimmy Pike, who is an Anglo-Indian, he talks about only 2 or 3 families 2 or 3 Anglo-Indian families that he meets in London when he arrives there. So there is no question of ghetto formation over there. And another thing, the Anglo-Indians are culturally affiliated with the West. There is a difference again between them and the other diasporic communities, such as say the Punjabi diaspora or the Gujarati diaspora, or say some other diasporas, right? So they wanted to affiliate with the West, but when they go there, they understand the problem that cultural affiliation is not everything. Racial identity also matters. Skin color also matters. So ghetto formation, it's still not there in Anglo-Indian discourse. And the Anglo-Indians who emigrate, they are they're not financially that much in a poor condition as the people who of the other diasporic communities, or you are talking about the Black Americans in Harlem. So there is no question of ghetto formation by the Anglo-Indians because they lack the number, the strength that is needed for ghetto formation. And secondly, they most of them who go abroad, they try to find out job, or due to their English education, they find a job. Or most of them are fluent in English. That is again a factor which distinguishes them from other diasporas. Okay, am I able to answer your question?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I think Ankur, yes, Ankur has arrived. He's there. Thank you, Shamusri. Thank you for delivering the lecture. Is there any
please, one question. One question. Only one question.
Is the name of Alice Walker's essay? So the name of that essay is Cultural Memory and Productive Nostalgia. It was published in 2002.
Another question is from Riyanka Sharma. Give some name of novels dealing with Anglo-Indian diaspora.
Give some name of novel dealing with. I have already named 3 novels. Other novels are also there. You can find it out. And say suppose another one is there by David McMahon, Vegemite Vindaloo. Then, as I said, that Jimmy Pike has one novel, The Tea Planter's Son. And of course, before reading the diasporic authors, you should also read the Anglo-Indian authors who are in India, such as Ruskin Bond and Irving Allen Seeley. Okay, without referring to their names, the discussion of the literary works produced by the Anglo-Indians remain incomplete. Their works as well. Then you will be able to the context will be easier for you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Samosridi. Now we are eagerly waiting to hear our second speaker, Dr. Ankur Konar. Please, Dr. Konar, please address us.
Okay. I am audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So first of all, thank you, Shamusridi, for a very organized lecture, as you always do. I also thank Saurabh for giving me a chance to present a paper in this webinar. Taking cue from Saurabh, I can say I am also feeling a bit nostalgic because Professor Himadri Lahiri is also there, and it reminds me our PG days. Professor Lahiri was then head of the department. Saurabh, Shamusridi, me, it's a kind of again get together. So I begin my paper. The title of my paper is Sports History and Name Game, Kolkata and Soccer. I have done my PhD on the representation of Kolkata in Amit Chaudhry's novel. Kolkata has all has my scholar engagement or so this is my another attempt of cultural geography. I focus on and before clarify and the use of the word soccer. That is called soccer in United States and Australia.
Hello, Ankur.
Hello.
Actually, your voice is not clear.
Hello.
Your voice is not clear. Your voice is not clear.
Okay, now?
Now it is clear. Now it is clear. Now again not clear. Again not clear. There is some network issue, I think.
Probably there is a network problem, Saurabh. Now it is clear?
Network. Now it is clear. Now it is clear.
Hello, Saurabh.
Clear, clear. Now it is clear. No.
Okay, okay. So in my
Can
case, I use football as interchangeable concept. Similarly, Calcutta. Am I audible, Saurabh? I am a bit confused.
Actually, Ankur, you are getting disrupted intermittently. So can you please leave and rejoin, or with some other network? Can you please try? Because I think this network is having some problem. Your voice is not clear. Sometimes it is clear. Sometimes it is not. Is the problem
Okay.
happening to others also? Yes. This is a general problem. So please, yes. So please try to disconnect yourself and then reconnect. And if possible, if you have another network, then it would have been better probably.
Okay, okay. Let me do this.
Okay. I request the audience to wait a while. Ankur will be back very soon. Actually, he has a very good topic today. He's speak on football, and it's post-modern and post-colonial relationships. And I have read a paper by Ankur on that very subject. He has already published a paper on that very subject. So I would like to request the audience to please wait a while.
Hello, Saurabh.
Now extremely clear, absolutely clear. Please.
Extremely clear. Okay. The weather is very foul in Burdwan.
Yes, I can understand. Okay.
Okay. So in my paper, the word soccer and football will be used as synonymously interchangeable. Similarly, Calcutta and Kolkata have been used interchangeably throughout my article. Though we know Calcutta has been redesignated in the vernacular from Kolkata on 23rd of December 2000. Vis-a-vis the type of discourses related to the names and nomenclature of the city, Geoffrey Moorhouse, in his book, Calcutta, the City Revealed, which is actually the first standard critical book on the city, published in 1894, with a tone of confusion, maps out the city dwellers' habitual pattern to be engaged in variations of names. For there are 31 ways of rendering Chakraborty. Think of that. One title, but 31 variation of Chakraborty, from Chakraborty to Chakrabarty, from V to O to E, etc. And there are 14 forms of Mukherjee, 11 types of Banerjee, and 8 of Chatterjee. So from this observation, you can understand that the concept of nomenclature in this city nurtures a huge range of variety, because the city itself can be read in various types of nomenclatures. Kolkata, Calcutta, Calcutta, Kolikata. Even in Bengali, there are two variations, Kolkata and Calcutta and Kolikata. Like the city itself, the football clubs too have typical nomenclatures that are concerned with the symbiotic relationships of the traversing the urban paraphernalia. The different epithetical adjectives and determinants used to describe the football-centric clubs and associations are strongly embedded with the socio-political implications, which are allied with topophobic, religious, communal, and overall emotional identification with the football clubs. As we all know that Kolkata grew through its contact with Europe, and football was introduced in Kolkata by the British, and the native city dwellers with their own orientation began to be engaged with these sports. From 1880 onwards, the sports club with different ideological standpoints came to existence in the city space, and Kolkata Maidan became the topos of soccer signpost. So my point is that vis-a-vis the exit entry metaphor of many overseas players who came to the city to establish their names, and this is such a city, or this is the such the spirit of the city related to sports is undoubtedly unparalleled in comparison to anywhere in the world. Vis-a-vis the city's obsessive referentiality to the football fever, the resultant accumulation of contradictions practiced by automatically there came a demand for the institutionalization of sports. I very consciously use the word institutionalization of game, because game, as it has various types of outcomes, what we need is game ethics. Without game ethics, game is almost impossible. So quite naturally, Indian Football Association, that we know as IFA, the abbreviation version, came into its existence in 1893. And from 1893, though the name of the body is Indian Football Association, there was nothing Indian in it. Later on, following this typical category, I will also focus on the IPL, Indian Premier League, and ISL, Indian Super League, where the use of the adjective Indian are there, in spite of the fact there is nothing Indianness. So this is a strong point that I am going to establish in my paper. And if you focus on various types of newspaper reports, scholarly articles, you will find that through IFA, British had owned, managed, and dominated the game. The affiliated clubs were classified as European and Indian. Rather, we say white and black, white, non-white. So the use of the word adjective Indian is essentially ironical. IFA sounds heavily marginalized as the British in their attempt to project a kind of repressive state apparatus through IFA. And virtually they cabin, creeped, and confined the Indianness and its development as the part of natives' identity formation. Even Partha Chatterjee, in his famous book, The Black Hole of Empire, published in 2012, points out the stark note of colonial difference in Kolkata Maidan. Even the white clubs, along with their white referees, dominated IFA. And it would be a very humorous observation by Rupak Saha in his Ekadashe Suryodoy, where he refers to that IFA actually means Mohun Bagan versus a white club, which simultaneously means 14 versus 11, whereas Mohun Bagan played with 11 players the white clubs played with 14 players. Who are the 14 players? Apart from 11 players, there were one referee, white referee, two whistle players. So overall, it is 14 versus 11. Later on, apart from the issue of Indianness, I will focus on the typical nomenclature of the big three clubs of Kolkata, Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, and Mohammedan Sporting. I will also focus on Taliganj Agrogami. The first part is directed to the issue of Mohun Bagan, though there is nothing very socio-political about the nomenclature of Mohun Bagan. Mohun Bagan started their journey on 15th of August 1889 as Mohun Bagan Sporting Club. Later, they redesignated with a minor variation as Mohun Bagan Athletic Club. So, Mohun Bagan FC to Mohun Bagan AC. This suggestion was provided by F.J. Rose, whose point was that since at that time Mohun Bagan did not endorse any other sports apart from football, so it should be renamed as Mohun Bagan Athletic Club. And from Rupak Shaha's Ekadashi Suryoday, we came to know that the name Mohun Bagan came from the place of the club's first meeting, that is Mohun Villa at Mitrobari. And we all know that not only Mitro family, but there are two renowned families, Basu family and Sen family, were there in making Mohun Bagan a grand success. So the nomenclature of Mohun Bagan is quite like this, how the name Mohun Bagan came into existence. Apart from the nomenclature Mohun Bagan, we all know that the East Bengal supporters sometimes mock the Mohun Bagan supporters as Macha. The word Macha has typical Sasurian signified combination because the word Macha is a local Bengali colloquial word that denotes the mast of a boat that we find in the crest of Mohun Bagan, the mastul. Apart from Macha, there are recurrent tendencies in Kolkata Maidans to refer to Mohun Bagan supporters as Ghoti. You all know that. Ghoti Bengal concept, Macha Lota concept. There are commentators cited by, particularly by Boria Majumdar, Kaushik Bandyopadhyay, who randomly supplied the explanation of the term Ghoti. But what is most popular is that the settlers of West Bengal, who are known as Ghoti, was in no way gentleman's remark, rather it was in a similar pattern with the term Lota, just meant to ridicule the settlers for their obsession with Ghoti. Ghoti, as we all know, a typical vessel used for domestic purposes. So Mohun Bagan and Mohun Bagan related different referential phrases serve as exemplary instances as the experiences of interconnection and football in Kolkata right from its origin is heavily embedded with various interdisciplinary issues that we can relate to the intrinsic theatricality of city life. Now we focus on the nomenclature of East Bengal. East Bengal, a club of Hindu refugees, came into the football map of the city during the time of huge migration from East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. What we generally is not conscious of, that East Bengal has an old form of nomenclature, that is Jora Bagan. Please focus on the word Jora Bagan. Jora in Bengali, that denotes the reconnection of two separated materials. As the Hindus of Bangladesh, being driven away by the Muslims, were reconnected with the Hindus of India, the term Jora Bagan becomes a self-explanatory in its connotative appearance. Jora Bagan offered, but ironically enough, this is the point where the nomenclatures are important. Jora Bagan offered another partition among the club management, and ironically enough, the sense of tearing apart came to be related with a club whose name is Jora Bagan. In Bengali, আমরা বলছি জোড়া, কিন্তু ultimately জোড়া বাগান দেখাচ্ছে জোড়া থেকে বেরিয়ে ছিঁড়ে বেরিয়ে আসছে, এই একটা concept. I'm using Bengali because it sounds logical in this moment, I think. There was a mode of dissent among the members of Jora Bagan regarding the inclusion of the star defender Shailesh Bose in their encounter against Mohun Bagan on 28th of July 1920 in Coach Beer Trophy. Vis-a-vis the accumulations of contradictions, Suresh Chandra Chaudhary, very influential person in that time, along with many influential other people like Aurobindo Ghosh, Torit Bhushan Rai, refused to be further associated with Jora Bagan and formed a new club, East Bengal, on 1st of August 1920. As the founders came from the eastern part of Bengal, modern-day Bangladesh, the club was in assonance with the immigration named East Bengal. After the formation of the club nurtures a coherent conceptualization of the emergent sense of communities. And as Bangla, on the basis of religious allegiance, was divided into East Pakistan and West Bengal, my point is that the presence of the club East Bengal in the state named West Bengal sounds antithetical. A specific manifestation on the discourses of geographical violence related to the inhabiting space and the inhibiting place. Thus, the very name of the club was important, as it clearly appealed to the discriminated East Bengalis in West Bengal for support. In the next part, I will focus on that I've already referred to. The supporters of East Bengal were generally mocked at as Lota, as the supporters of Mohun Bagan were mocked as Ghoti or Macha. But what is important to note is that these two terms, Ghoti and Lota, are mutually exclusive and may be studied as each other's counterpart, offering a maelstrom of activity and a mosaic of connotations. So where I am using the word mutually exclusive, at this point I am once again a bit nostalgic, because this conception was introduced to us by Professor Himadri Lairi in his lectures in our PG days on Heart of Darkness. So thank you, sir, for this kind of knowledge you generated among your students. Now, next time we will focus on the conception of the word, the title of the club, Mohammedan Sporting. And obviously, you can understand that the first part is more emphatic than the second one, and first part is striking. The adjective Mohammedan emphatically focuses on a blatant religious identity. The club, founded in 1891, represented the football ambitions of the city's influential Muslim population. They began as Jubilee Club, later they renamed as Christian Club, later redesignated as Hamidiya Club, and finally to Mohammedan Sporting. The victory of Mohun Bagan, as we all know, in 1911 ISSL final was praised by the leading Muslim journals and hailed the victory as a symbolic projection of the triumph of Indian brotherhood. So the conception of Indian brotherhood that was very much prevalent in the very beginning of 20th century. Later on, from 1930s onwards, the united sense prevalent after Mohun Bagan's victory in 1911 became an oblivion matter of the past. Why? Because the organized religion practiced by the management of Mohammedan Sporting, who had a connection with Muslim League to join separatist movement, drew the leading Muslim footballers from all over India who were busy in playing other teams and brought them under one religious umbrella. And essentially, this kind of conceptualization of binaries, Hindus, Muslims, what actually happened that Mohammedan Sporting, there is a sense of establishing the concept of communal pockets of Calcutta. Even Kaushik Bandyopadhyay, presently the professor of history at West Bengal State University, he shows that how the religious fanaticism led to the communalization of sports in the other parts of Bengal as well. There are different clubs established in the same time on the basis of fanaticism. Muslim Sporting Club, established in 1927, Kumilla Mohammedan, established in 1928, and Dhaka Mohammedan Sporting Club, established in 1936. What is most striking is that through the conceptualization of this club, we can relate to it with the conception of two-nation theory. And Mohammedan Sporting may be seen as more than a club, more than a football club, because through such kind of religious mobilization by the management of Mohammedan Sporting, what I find nothing but a severe communalization of sports. Now, please mark this incident that has been referred by Indranath Chattopadhyay. Though Jinnah had no love for football, he introduced Jinnah Football Tournament in 1944. And what was the result? The result was nothing but the abatement of the sports culture of the city. And another black incident happened on the cultural geography of Kolkata is that the riot in Calcutta on 16th of August 1946, which the critics believed had a premonition in Mohammedan Sporting Bhawanipur match violence and vandalization on 1st of June 1946. So the vandalization after Mohammedan Sporting Bhawanipur Club in June 1946 and its aftermath effect in Hindu-Muslim riot in Calcutta in August 1946, within the span of only 1 month, it indicates a lot. For this reason, various achievements of Mohammedan Sporting against the British, like Calcutta League in 1934 and Durand Cup in 1940, had not been celebrated in the national lens as had been done in the case of Mohun Bagan after their trump of the IFSL final in 1911. The then Chief Minister, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai in 1950 also suggested that club management of Mohammedan Sporting and East Bengal to go for a change of club's name, as the name itself bears a strong notion of ethnicity. Not only Mohammedan Sporting, but Dr. Rai referred to other clubs like East Bengal, Rajasthan Club, whose names nurtured parochial connotations. In a newspaper report titled M Game, published in the Telegraph on 21st of September 2008, Reet Basu tries to draw the attention of the city dwellers to the fact of the above-mentioned club's social ramifications vis-a-vis their names. He interviewed the Mohun Bagan club secretary, Anjan Mitra. Anjan Mitra's point is that the names like East Bengal and Mohammedan Sporting are communal and anachronistic. Mitra said names like East Bengal and Mohammedan Sporting, which emphasizes specific regional origins and religious beliefs, were to be done away with. To avoid hooliganism and to encourage clean football, there is a necessity of a renaming. The report, by referring to different reactionary statements in support or against the renaming issue, points out that the city witnessed many name-changing or renaming episodes because the city itself was renamed from Calcutta to Kolkata on 23rd of December 2000. Not only the renaming of the city was occurred, there were different clubs who changed their names. For example, North Calcutta Club became Oikko Sammeloni, Bhawanipur Bijoy Sangha became India Club, Marwari Club became Rajasthan Club. Even there are references to the incidents like changing the name of the same club for a repeated time. Manakshia Taliganj Agrogami, prevalent in 1960s, transferred to Taliganj Agrogami simply in 1990s. Then to DTDC Taliganj Agrogami in 2003-2000 session. And then to the most recent variation, Join Group Taliganj Agrogami. Now, there comes another question of linguistic allegiance vis-a-vis the nomenclature of the big three clubs. The names like Mohun Bagan, Jora Bagan, Taliganj Agrogami cast their linguistic allegiance to the local Bengali language, whether in the nomenclature of the clubs like East Bengal and Mohammedan Sporting and different other clubs. The linguistic allegiance is evidently towards English. The language of the colonial masters. Think of this. All the nomenclatures of these clubs were happened during the time of pre-independence times, when Indians were fighting against the British. But the management of the clubs, quite surprisingly enough, took help from a language that is the language of the colonial masters. So it is also interesting to point out that British introduced English studies by setting up 3 universities in 3 different cities, Calcutta, Madras and Bombay, and in the mid-19th century to exercise their influence of institutionalization of power over the colonial subjects. But ironically enough, all cities have modified their names in post-independence time, and each city has celebrated its own local dynamics in the name. Calcutta becomes Kolkata, Madras becomes Chennai, Bombay becomes Mumbai. But unfortunately, during the time of anti-colonial resistance, the club managements of Mohammedan Sporting and East Bengal did not consider the linguistic battle. Rather, these types of nomenclature bears the strong notion of intellectual imperialism. Such attempt to promote Englishness rather than Indianness definitely went against the linguistic spirit of Calcutta, because Calcutta or Kolkata is such a city that always celebrated the linguistic citizenship. As Amit Chaudhary, in his non-fiction titled Calcutta, 2 Years in the City, published in 2013, observes, I quote, "If ever a city rather than a notion or state or province had been synonymous with a language, it was Calcutta," unquote. Like Kolkata, there are a few cities where language plays a specific role of urban proliferation that creates a sense of linguistic citizenship. Undoubtedly, the nomenclature of the clubs like Mohun Bagan, Shobha Bajar, Jora Bagan, Taliganj Agrogami, according to the particular cultural heritage, endorses the ideological standpoint of a desire through language that additionally promotes a sense of desire in language. And obviously, that famous phrase, the tempo of Indian life, is missing in the names, in naming the clubs like Mohammedan Sporting and East Bengal. In the next part, I will focus on the 21st century consumeric objectification of the names of the clubs. As we all know, that in 21st century, particularly in the year 2002, the transformation from Mohun Bagan to McDowell's Mohun Bagan and East Bengal to Kingfisher's East Bengal have been shaped following the patterns of marketable commodity and its additional consumer signs of money and buying power. In a report published in India Today, dated 13th of May 2002, we come to know that a certain section of the club members attempted legal cases against the management of Mohun Bagan for surrendering the club's title. Surrendering in the sense, why a brand of wine market will be related with the name of Mohun Bagan, a club, a national club. In fact, Rajiv Gandhi held Mohun Bagan as a national club. So why a liquor company will be associated with the names of Mohun Bagan? On the other side, similar case we find in East Bengal, Kingfisher's East Bengal, and the supporters did not readily agree to rename their respective teams. Vis-a-vis this impasse over the name change, the cultural history of Kolkata soccer was scripted in terms of Mohun Bagan and East Bengal supporters' revolutionary impact to name change and conformity to their originality. Though the club was renamed, the resistance leaves an impression on the city's map of buying and selling. After the term end of the UB group in connection with sponsorship with Mohun Bagan and East Bengal, there comes another story. This is the most recent story that has been developed since 2018. On 5th July 2018, Quays Corporation Limited signed an agreement with East Bengal Club, leading to the formation of new entity named Quays East Bengal FC Private Limited, in abbreviation QEBFC. Quays acquired 70% shares of the club and rest 30% were retained by the club. Thus, the club was renamed Quays East Bengal FC. Another incident happened similarly just before this pandemic situation. On 16th of January 2020, the owners of ISL side ATK Atletico de Kolkata, Sanjeev Goenka Group, brought 80% of the shares of Mohun Bagan. With the current owners left only the remaining percent, just 20%. It was announced that ATK and Mohun Bagan will amalgamate and play as a new entity with the following session and participate as a unified team in the ISL, which is now India's first division league. From 1st of June 2020, the merged team will come into existence. So this was a kind of agreement, though this still has not happened because the country is going through the pandemic situation. It will still unknown whether the unified club will retain Mohunbagan's name, jersey and logo, though the club has announced that it will keep these unchanged, keeping history and fan sentiment in mind. So my point is that not only in Mohunbagan and in East Bengal, if you go through the major practices of the soccer clubs in Calcutta, the leading players, the coaches, the supporting staff, the mechanical advisors, the diet counselors are all now hired from the foreign countries. Even the new conceptualization of IPL and ISL and the new conceptualization that I mentioned, ATK Mohunbagan, may be a startup to indicate the recent trend of allegiance to the cross-cultural valency is on the verge of generating a sense of plastic fan of the club. The simmering crowd of people, a peculiar trait of city's club culture, does not go in tune with the city's above-mentioned eventful flow and flux related to soccer. IPL, ISL is more than cricket, more than football. Sometimes it is only about the cheerleaders. So, Indrajit Hazra in Grand Delusions, a short biography of Kolkata published in 2013, points out a clash between the city and city's icon. We all know Sourav Ganguly. In this portion, I am referring a bit to the world of cricket. Sourav Ganguly was not included in the side of Kolkata Knight Riders in one session. And Ganguly was introduced in Pune Warriors. So when in Kolkata or in Eden Gardens, the match occurred between KKR and Pune Warriors, the city dwellers were divided into two parts. One portion of the city dwellers were supporting KKR because the name has related to Kolkata. Though later on, we will discuss that Kolkata Knight Riders had nothing to do with Kolkata. The owner, Shah Rukh Khan, has never been related to Kolkata, and the club is nothing but a business entity. I quote a passage from two soccer lovers, two young soccer lovers. One is Dilip Majumdar and is Tapan Sarkar. Dilip Majumdar, on the day of KKR and Pune Warriors encounter, observes, I don't care, but I am a KK supporter. I will support my city. And Tapan Sarkar puts it, I can confidently say that 70% of the Kolkata city dwellers will support Sourav and the Pune Warriors. Why? Sourav is a Kolkata institution and KKR is just a business entity. So not only KKR, the other clubs that are playing in IPL or ISL, what I find is nothing but a kind of specific identity crisis. Because once again, like the typical formation of IFA, IPL and ISL offers a definitive explanation of decrying the loss of direction, and the word Indian has been used there because the tournament only happened in Indian and Indianness has not been valued at all. So this is one kind of cultural domination we can think of. By focusing on the contemporary socio-economic practices of these clubs of long history, like Mohunbagan, East Bengal, Mohammedan Sporting, along with the clubs of recent times, Kolkata Knight Riders, Atlético de Calcutta, it is quite easy to point out the radical shift in the sports club's focus from sporting spirit to consumeric objectification. The sense of cultural domination is strikingly potent here. Sports tournaments like IPL and ISL came into the cultural map of the city's club culture as local, global, collaborationist critical engagement, simultaneously of claiming and disowning the city, where the film stars and industrialists invested in these heterotopian enterprises. And I mark out an observation published in a Kolkata Daily. Calcutta's team has no one from Calcutta. Mark this point. Name is related to Kolkata, but no players have been selected from this city. And the names Kolkata Knight Riders, whose chief owner, who has no history of involvement with Calcutta, actually it becomes a place with without necessarily having anything to do with the city itself. It is quite clear from this analysis that the nomenclature related to the city-specific club has nothing to do with the city. So is the case of Atletico de Kolkata, because it is actually nothing but a mindless imitation of Atletico Madrid of Italy. Even vis-a-vis the nomenclature of Kolkata Knight Riders, please focus on the issue that Rabindranath Tagore refused the crowning glory of knighthood in protest against the Britishers' misrule in our country. The concept of knight ideologically belongs to the West, and there is a definite sense of mimicry and mindless imitation we find in the nomenclature of other IPL or ISL clubs. Pune Warriors, Delhi Daredevils. So Warriors, Daredevils, Knights, are they essentially reflecting the concept of India? I think no. Even there is a song, a promotional song in KKR, Korbo Lorbo Jitbore, or Ami KKR, or Amar Buke ATK, the promotional song in the season 3 of ATK, or the season 4 promotional song Fatafati Football. All these songs or the promotional issues only exploit the local sentiments. Attempts have been made to redefine and redraw a new city through a new club culture, but the idiosyncratic sense of nostalgia related to the old clubs like Mohun Bagan and East Bengal is still fresh in the minds of the sports-loving people of Kolkata, who sometimes mocks ATK as, think of this mockery, the funny nomenclature. ATK stands for Amar Tomar Kolkata or Ekhon Tokhon Kolkata. Undoubtedly, the dig is towards the plastic nature of the club's fan base. As far as the history shows us, the Indian to do with the concept of Indian since its emergence in 1893. Even after almost 130 years, we find the same picture in the name of Indian Premier League and Indian Super League. There is no sense of India. India is nothing but the place where the tournaments occurred and where the foreign players play. So this is my lecture, and in this lecture, if I thematically divide it into two sections, the first part was rather a debate over mother tongue and other tongue, and the second part is related to consumerism, affected the names and the clubs, how they have been redesignated. For example, Mohun Bagan to McDowell's Mohun Bagan to ATK Mohun Bagan. So quite naturally, this argument may go well with a subversion of the famous Shakespearean notion, what's in a name. As far as the history of the name game related to Kolkata soccer is concerned, names are not simply names, they are allied with many socio-political issues. Football in Kolkata is more than a game, more than sports. It is beyond football and beyond only 90 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ankur Konar, for his wonderful observations on football, sports, soccer, game, mother tongue and other tongue. Now the floor is open for interactive session. If you have any questions from the participants, ask him or make any observations or to add on. Hello.
Am I on?
I think he has some network issue. Hello, your audio is not clear. Hello.
Hello.
Hello,
Your
Dr. Segal.
Audible?
Please ask your
Am
questions.
Yeah. we have learnt about Great Wall Shift in English, and now in this lecture we come to know about the renaming of different places. What were the reasons of these renaming, whether socio-political, but what are the reasons of renaming of those places from Kolkata to Calcutta, Calicut?
May I answer? Hello? I am
Yes, sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. In my lecture, I have discussed the issues, yet again, I am referring to your question, why Calcutta to Kolkata or other renaming issues. So renaming is part of our uh, daily life if the situation demands so. Redesignation is a matter of growth, be it for betterment or be it for degeneration. But what is important is that in all these cases, in the first case, if you focus on the renaming of the city that you asked, Calcutta to Kolkata, I have already mentioned, it is on the basis of the celebration of local issues. Calcutta, the word which has actually neither a kind of meaning in either in English or in Bengali, has been transformed into local articulation. Kolkata, that we Bengali generally do. The next portion, your question is that if I focus on from Mohun Bagan to McDowell's Mohun Bagan or ATK Mohun Bagan, this is very simple as the demand of our consumeric objectification, the buying power, sponsorship that we cannot resist in 21st century remix of culture. Money is necessary for development of the clubs. So quite naturally, the management of the clubs are taking money, and as the money providers, their insistence on using their names directly into the club name, they will get the better benefit. So from Mohun Bagan to McDowell's Mohun Bagan or any consumeric objectification related issues or renaming, the sense is unavoidable. It is bound to occur because in 21st century remix of culture, we have to be consumeric in its sense. Hope my answer satisfied.
Okay, sir. Okay. If you don't have any questions from the participant. Samoshridi, can you ask any question?
No, I like the presentation a lot, and I have no question. The lecture was very interesting, and it was quite new to me, and I felt very nice that Onkur made such a wonderful presentation. I'm very happy for this, and I want to congratulate him.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Samoshridi.
Most welcome.
Dr. Nag, please, now please declare the session is over.
Okay. I congratulate both Samoshridi and Onkur for delivering such engaging lectures during today's panel. Now it is time for us to say goodbye. And tomorrow is the last day of this international web lecture series. We are quite tired because this is the second phase and we are doing this for 15 days or so at a stretch. So let us take goodbye. Allow us to take our lunch and thank you, audience. Tomorrow we have 3 speakers and a small valedictory session. And in the valedictory session, as you know, that our principal sir will address you. So please join tomorrow without fail, because tomorrow is the last day of this session. And obviously there is going to be some important announcement tomorrow. Okay. Goodbye till then. Goodbye, Ankur, Shamsri, and all
Bye.
other participants. Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.